welcome back. How are you today? So something very interesting came up at the end of the last video, and we just wanted to keep expanding on that because that's what we love doing with my beautiful spirit team. So they've asked me to keep talking about that today, and that is when you surrender, when you let go, when you let God take over, or spirit, or whatever it is that you want to call it. What happens? What happens to you? Do you disappear? Do you suddenly become invisible because God has taken over? What are your thoughts about this? Let us know in the comments what comes up for you as you're listening to this. Because a few years ago, this was me. I was having this conversation with a beautiful lady that was doing this course on self-love. And this is what was coming through for me. But if I let go, I'll disappear. If I let God take over, I'll become nothing. And at the time, I felt like, well, it's not fair, is it? If His will is my will, why do I have a will at all? You know, like these were all the conversations that were going on in my head. I think I spent about 2 weeks going over this in my head, over and over and over. But wait a minute, why was I given free will? If I'm given free will, but His will is what matters, why am I given free will at all? It was really baking my noodle at the time. And, you know, after a while I was like, just forget it. You know, I can't deal with it. You know, it's like, it was just such a funny time in my life, you know. And then I remember also at that time having a conversation with another coach from Rikka's team, telling her that I couldn't feel God. I was crying. I had tears, you know, down my face. I couldn't stop crying because I was saying to her, I feel so disconnected. I can't feel God. I don't even feel that God is there. He's just not there. You know, for most of my life, I felt so abandoned by God. And the times I've asked Him to take me, that I'm done, I've had enough, He just ignored me. So for so long, I felt like I was on my own, you know, that I had no support. Until the moment that I realized that, I was meant to go through all of that. All of that was part of my past. Those 2 depressions, that I didn't want to be here anymore, that I was suicidal, I just wanted to go. I just want to go. I don't want to live anymore. That was part of my past. To know what that feels like, that you have nothing to live for. Nothing. Nothing matters, nothing makes sense, nothing, I just didn't care. Empty, completely empty is how I felt. Both times. An emptiness that I couldn't explain. And that beautiful emptiness, I realized after. You see, through all of that, I needed to have my daughter. I'm not sure if she hadn't been born, if I'd have had the awakening I had. Because I was expecting her to be the love that I had been waiting for my whole life. I'd been waiting my whole life to have this love, to give this love, to be this love, and that it would be accepted, it would be received, it would be seen and heard and felt, and all those things. I would finally feel whole and complete through this beautiful being. And she came and nothing changed. But in that moment that I realized nothing changed, everything did. Everything for me. Because that's when I really got stuck into, how do I explain it, that I was looking for answers in all the wrong places, so to speak. I was missing something. I was missing something very, very important. And all the things I believed that were going to lead me to that peace, that were going to lead me to that joy, that were going to give me that love, none of them brought me any of that. None of them. So in that moment, my quest began. Hang on a minute, I'm missing something. There's something that I'm not seeing. And that's where it all started to unravel. As you start to let go of all those beliefs, oh, okay, so this isn't the way, and that isn't the way, and this doesn't lead to joy, and this doesn't lead to peace, and this doesn't lead to the love that I'm yearning for in my heart. You start to let go of all those layers, all those beliefs. And then the biggest realization of all, that the love that you've been looking for your entire life was you all along. It was you. We look for acceptance out there. We look for acceptance from our partner. We look for acceptance from our parents. We look for approval from our parents. We look for approval from our partners. All the while, it's you that needs your acceptance. It's you that needs your approval. We look for love in our partners. We look for love in our children. We look for love in our parents. All the while, it's your love that you need. It's your love. When we're little, we take on all these criticisms of all the things where we don't measure up. All the things we're not good enough, we're not good at. And those things we decide are bad or wrong. And we can't love that about ourselves. And yet, that's all your heart wants you to do. Love all of it. Because it's your path. It doesn't matter that you're not good at that. It doesn't matter that you're not good enough. In truth, none of that is real. None of it is true anyway. That you're not good enough. You are more than good. In the eyes of spirit. You are more than worthy in the eyes of spirit. But we decide as children, because we're not worthy of our parents' love, or we need to earn their approval to be loved, to feel loved. Otherwise that love is taken away. There are conditions that we need to meet to receive that love. And yet, here you are. And all your heart wants is for you to love yourself completely as you are. You are more than worthy of love. Love is what you are. You are more than deserving of love. Love is what you are made of. All this time, the love that you've been looking for out there is your love, always. The moment that makes sense to you, the moment you understand that, everything will shift for you. It was never about receiving love out there. Yes, it's nice. It's nice to receive the love of your parents. It's nice to receive the love of your partner. It's nice to receive the love of your children. But it's your love that your heart is craving. Your love. that you can love every single part of you without exception, without judgment, because it's the judgment that holds it at a distance. It holds it away from you, like, I can't love that about me. I can't love that. Say, for example, I don't know why this has come to mind, but I just follow guidance. This is what they're bringing forward. Say, for example, you lie. Okay, you're in the habit of lying about things. And in your heart, you feel, I can't love that about myself. That's yucky. That's a negative thing. How can I love that about myself? Do you ever stop to think of why you lie? I know growing up as a little one, I knew that if I did something, say for example, one day I accidentally burnt a tea towel on the stove top. I was heating up milk and I didn't realize that the tea towel was touching the stove top and it was burning. So it had this big black stain on it. And I was terrified because I knew that I had to tell my mum that I did it, and I knew what the consequence was, that I was going to get yelled at and I was going to get smacked. So I went running to my dad to tell him, and I was in tears, you know, that I didn't want to tell mum because of how she was going to react, you know. And he saw me in my distress. My dad said, don't worry about it. I'll tell mum that I did it. Don't worry. You know, he said, he gave me a big hug and he sent me on my way, you know. But that brought up in me a lot, thinking about why we lie. So many of us lie because we know what's waiting for us if we say the truth. We're going to get yelled at. We're going to get smacked. We just don't like the punishment that's coming with it. The consequence of telling the truth. And so we learn to lie. We learn to cover it up. Because we don't want to face that. That's so uncomfortable. We don't want to face that we'd rather lie. And that's where we learn to do it. But if you have love for yourself, if you realize how that pattern started, you can learn to love all of it. Why did you start lying in the first place? Where did you learn that habit? Because everything that we do in this lifetime, we have learnt it. Unless it's unconditional love, which is what you are. Everything else in this life you have learnt. You've learnt to be afraid. You've learnt to be jealous. You've learnt to lie. You've learnt to... All of it's learnt. You've learnt to be unworthy. You've learnt to be undeserving. You've learnt to be not good enough. These are not things you're born with. You learn them in your lifetime. You learn that you are these things. You're not born these things. And they make your beautiful human experience. It's what you came to experience. When you learn to see yourself through the eyes of your soul, it is all beautiful. It's all amazing. None of it is ugly. It's all precious. It's all sacred. All of it. All of it. When you see it through the eyes of the soul, it's all love. All of it. Your soul is so grateful for your experience. It's so grateful for all the information it gathers while you are here, going through what you're going through. None of it is wasted. None of it is bad. None of it is wrong. It was all meant to happen. And when you understand this, you can begin to love all of it. This is who you are. It's all beautiful. Learn to love all of it. Learn to love that you're impatient. Learn to love that you're a liar. Just as you learnt to not love that. You had to learn how to love, you had to learn how to dislike that in the first place. You learn these behaviors in your childhood and you learnt to not love that about yourself. It was something you learned. But you can unlearn that. And you can learn to love it instead. You can learn to love it. If you could learn how to not love it, you can learn how to love it. Because you're the one that decides that it's bad or wrong. You're the one. If you can see, if you can understand why it was there, the experience that it created for you, if you can see it through the eyes of your soul, through your spirit, of how wonderful that was, the information that it gathered, how did that feel? What does it feel like when you can't tell the truth and you have to go up to that person knowing that you have to tell them a lie to avoid being smacked and yelled at? How does that feel? Don't you feel ashamed? Don't you feel guilty inside? That it makes you feel so bad. I can't tell you the truth. I want to, but I'm too scared of what you're going to do to me if I do. That whole experience, it's so colourful. You know? And that's one of so many experiences that we go through, that we decide are bad or wrong, or we're ashamed of that part of us. And yet we are here to experience that. We were here to experience that in our childhood. It's made us who we are today. All of it. If you can't trust others, love that about yourself. There's a reason you can't trust others. You were meant to experience that. If you're afraid of being hurt, you don't want to love others because they're just going to break your heart. Love that about yourself. That's what you came to experience. What does it feel like to be so afraid to love others because they're just going to break your heart? What does that feel like? That's the experience your soul came to have. So, my beautiful beings, love all of it. Love you. Love you. Love yourself. You are divine perfection. There's nothing missing. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing bad. It's all perfect. You are perfect. You are beautiful just as you are. All of it. All right, my beautiful beings. I love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages, and share this beautiful message today. It may be exactly what someone needs to hear. Bye for now.